So hello and welcome, I'm Frederick Dunn, and today we're not talking about honeybees. I yielded to the interests of my grandsons. They wanted to go and see reptiles. Now here in Erie, Pennsylvania, they have a Reptile Expo the first Saturday of every month. So we went on September the 13th and I interviewed a bunch of vendors and we talked about the specimens they have on display. And I was also speaking with the manager of the expo, and I could not use the soundtrack. Here's why. There was music playing in the background. So if there's a DJ or someone's playing music in the background where you are as a content creator, you can't use it. You'll get a copyright strike. So I had to redo this video, and here it is. So what I want you to know, though, is this is a great place to take the family because there's more than reptiles there. There's something for everyone here. And the grandkids got to hold snakes. We got to see things like snails and some pretty impressive spiders. And I think if you stay with me and watch this entire video, you're going to get to see some things and maybe learn a thing or two that you didn't know. I certainly did. One of the great things about coming to an expo is that you're meeting the people that are breeding the reptiles. They're very informed, and they can share with you all of their knowledge and experience so you can make an informed decision before you even think about taking on a new pet. Now, I know you may be wondering, did the grandsons get anything? Did they get the snakes they wanted? No, they didn't, because they have to learn about them first, they have to set up a habitat first, and they have to pass an interview with me where they explain all the requirements of the pet they hope to one day keep. So I hope you'll excuse the fact that there's no background noise here until we get to the interviews later on, because I did ask for them to turn the music off so we could do some interviews, and they obliged. Another fun thing here is that I met another influencer. So you're going to meet them too, and maybe find another channel that you could subscribe to. So there'll be a shout out to them in this. And I'll just let you look at the specimens, and we're going to talk to a spider person who also keeps reptiles, but this is the fun of an expo like this. There's more than reptiles. The spiders are very interesting, but I had to mention them because I know some people don't like spiders. You don't want to see them. So fair warning, you are going to see them. And some of these spiders, I have to be honest, I personally would not keep in my home. They are impressive. The other thing is, what about snails? What do you know about them? We're going to meet the snail people. So I'll stop talking, I'll play some music here for a while, and then we'll get into the interviews, and you're going to want to see this 20-foot reticulated python that weighs right around 200 pounds. That was unexpected. Now you might be wondering too, is this it? Is this the whole exhibit? What's going on here? And I have to tell you, no, it's extensive. In fact, there were specimens here that blew me out of the water. I could not believe the exotics that were here. And you might be wondering, why didn't you show them in the video? And that's because I had to respect the request of the exhibitor that asked me not to show any of his reptiles. So what I want to encourage you to do is actually go to the expo if you're in the area and check them out, because what's included in this video is a tiny fraction of what's actually there at the expo. And as I mentioned, November the 1st is the next one, December 6th. This is something you can do year-round, so when the weather's bad, go meet some people and learn about some exotic animals that you would never see. I mean, not even in the zoo. This is an amazing place. I'm glad I went. The grandsons were impressed, and we are definitely going to be going back in the future. So I want to thank you in advance for watching. And if you find the companies interesting, please reach out to them and join them on Facebook, social media, and maybe even come into the expo someday. There's the grandson, the supervisor, and grandson number 2 who just got out there. Let's check out some spiders and learn a little bit. Maybe you want some. I don't know. I'm Frederick Dunn, and this is The Way to Be. Okay. So even though we're at a Reptile Expo here in Erie, you've brought a bunch of arachnids along with some reptiles. And would you like to just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about why you have them, and do you come every month to the expo?
My name's Chad Edwards. I go by Professor Von Scales. I've been coming to this show almost every month for the past several years. I grew up keeping snakes. About 30 years ago, I started keeping spiders for the first time, and it just kind of took over, and now I have a lot of spiders. And from all different species from all over the world. I still do mostly snakes, but I do work with a great number of tarantulas. For example, this big monster held hair she just nested just about a week and a half ago. This is an adult female salmon pink bird eater tarantula.
Okay, say that again. An adult female salmon
pink bird eater.
Salmon pink bird eater. Now the bird eaters, are those the largest of the tarantulas?
All of the New World bird eaters in the genus Lasiodora and Theraphosa are the biggest.
Okay.
And this is Lasiodora parahabana.
What's her age?
My best guess is she's about 14 years old.
14 years old, okay.
She's very, very young.
Interesting. And how long do they live?
We don't know. We know that they can live into their 30s and 40s, probably in their 50s and 60s in some cases, depending on the species. I have a species over here that's confirmed to have been in captivity for almost 60 years.
60? Wow.
So we really don't know how long they live. Some of the species have a much, much shorter lifespan than others. Green bottle blue tarantulas, which I don't have here with me. They use the Cathosturias geniculatus. Tend to live about 20 years at the most. That's relative to care, I'm sure. There's still a lot of things we just don't know about.
Wow.
We think we do, but we're still learning. There'll always be a learning curve with tarantulas. I keep widows. A little western black widow right here.
Western black widow.
And she just laid an egg sac right over here.
Okay. All right, now when they come out of those eggs, they're tiny. We have to how do you vent that? So what's the smallest hole a baby black widow could get through?
So in about 3 weeks, I'll have to seal this up completely and put a mesh top on this.
Okay.
That way no escapes can have it.
Yeah, okay.
And then I collect the babies as they come, and I deal with the babies as they come.
Okay.
They are minuscule. They are very, very
right, that's what I was thinking. They could easily then pass through those holes, so you have to be...
I've seen them do it. I had an egg sac years ago I didn't see, and I had baby widows come a screen with them. So that wasn't fun.
Okay. I thought you're just moving her around. Now they can flip their abdominal hairs.
They take their back legs and kick across the abdomen.
They flick them forward or backwards, or does it matter? Into the air, and then they just land on your skin and...
Yes. And they also use those hairs to line their enclosures and to help line their mat when they make a mat to shed.
Okay.
They cover the area with their irrigating hairs. They do that to distill the predators. Things don't like those hairs.
Yeah.
And they leave the animal alone whether or not vicious here.
And what do you feed it?
She's eating crickets and roaches.
Do you raise the crickets, or do you have to buy them in? Okay. Crickets and?
Roaches.
Roaches. Okay. So on the scale comparing to reptiles, easier to keep, more challenging? What about environmental climate like humidity and temperature?
Room temperature for all of these guys for the most part. Humidity can vary from species to species. A lot of these things that I keep tend to like fairly drier conditions than others. I have a few spiders at home that I don't bring out as much that prefer very high humidity. A lot of the Southeast Asian parachute spiders like the ornamental tarantulas, some of those prefer higher humidities. I do have them with me today, but for the most part they like a higher humidity than what I get them.
Okay, so you just said parachute spider. How to explain? That's how they travel when they're little? Okay, that's interesting.
It's a salmon pig bird eater.
Okay.
They even as adults, they jump from tree to tree by spreading out and using their hairs and a body
Can
shape.
you give me an example of how far they can go doing that?
They can probably jump
Depends on the height, probably, that they started from. Yeah.
from tree to tree depending on the height. And they spend their entire life.
Okay.
They really don't come down out of the canopy for any reason that I don't have to.
Okay.
You need it up there.
Interesting.
You're talking about all of the ornamental tarantulas that are native to India and Sri Lanka. They're all endemic to that region, and they're all what we call parachute spiders, in addition to being called ornamental tarantulas.
Now, do you have a website or something?
I don't. I have a Facebook page called Smart Snakes.
Smart Snakes.
Yep.
Okay, so that's your Facebook, and that's it, huh? Are you here every month? You're in Erie? You try to be. Okay.
Very rarely do I miss an Erie show. I got here 2 hours late. I had a setback at home before I was able to make it out here. So
Okay.
I got here way too late today.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing about your arachnids and some of their traits. It's very interesting.
These guys.
So that's a parachute spider.
That's also called the species name is Pislotheria striata. They're the Mysore ornamental tarantula from Sri Lanka. And another name within the parachute tarantula, a parachute spider. And if I were to touch her with a paintbrush, she would be living in Erie.
She moved that fast.
I wouldn't be able to react in time.
Okay, that's good to know. So what is the speed that a spider like this could move across the floor, for example?
11 feet per second.
What is it?
11 feet per second.
11 feet in a second. Not good. Let's close that one up.
Usually I have a dozen and a half, really 2 days of station. I just didn't do that today because they ended up there. Not so every day. I have some of all this is going. I have a feeling that I've been tired. And can find us president worse.
Oh, I love that we have sanitation practices here too. Now, while we're waiting to talk about Real Wild Adventures of what they're up to, why are snails? What are they called? Mollusks? What's the classification of a snail? What are they? They're not reptiles. We know that. So what is it?
Gastropod.
So does that mean they're gassy? It doesn't sound.
I've had that question asked.
It doesn't sound right.
They're technically mollusks, but in the larger supergroup of molluscus, there's gastropoda, and gastropods be like snails, slugs.
Okay, I have to ask your background right now since you're throwing all the fancy words in. Multi-syllables.
Wildlife biologist. So I actually work with, outside of my YouTube channel, Real Wild Adventure.
And let's talk about your YouTube channel support team over here. So who do we have on your GoPro? Oh, that's an action camera. Yeah. So that's not a GoPro. Are you anti-GoPro?
They're better than GoPro.
Oh, dude, I can't do that. We're indoors. And then we're over here with a Canon. Okay. And so he pays you fat stacks to follow him around.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Not a slug. Not a slug. Right. Very different thing.
Slugs have no... That's a homeless snail, right?
Homeless snail.
Okay.
Wow, he's actually coming out.
So Real Wild Adventures is indoors. That doesn't sound very wild.
Yeah, so we just got back from filming in the Amazon rainforest.
Did not.
We did, yeah, it was awesome. We saw some really cool stuff. Videos coming soon. Trying to propose it to some production companies right now. So we'll see if that.
Who are you trying to work through?
Some up and coming startups.
Oh, you don't want to go straight for Warner Brothers, Discover, Animal
they'll
Planet?
take me. I knew they would take me, so I want to go the harder route, make it more difficult.
Let's talk about your educational background, though. Where'd you go to school?
So I went to school here at Edinburgh University, which now known as Penn West, Edinburgh, for environmental biology. And while there, I graduated from there with my environmental biology degree in the year 2020, which was a fantastic year, as everyone. But because of that, I had a hard time finding a job. And so I've always kind of had a passion.
Overeducated biologists can't find jobs? That's right up there with herpetology. You know a lot and nobody cares about what we know, right?
Nobody cares what we know.
Okay.
But I during COVID, decided to start filming and kind of taught myself editing,
how to be on camera,
How to be on camera.
how to be comfortable on camera, and educate people about animals. And I did a lot of research and film gear. It's a lot of work. I think a lot of people don't realize all the work that goes into making videos, but yeah, I did that. And
Others work. So.
there's
Okay.
a little bit, but
So how about growing a channel today? When did you start your YouTube?
I started a while ago, but I've only recently started publishing videos pretty consistently. So I want to say, how old do you think the channel is? Maybe a year and a half, 2 years? 2 years.
2 years.
About 2 years.
It's hard to start a YouTube channel these days
It is,
because
'cause it's
everyone's
super
got one.
Everybody. Oh yeah, and then in between there, I got my master's degree in media management. So
Yeah, so you had nothing going on, so you just tossed in your master's
Just get my master's.
in media management.
Yeah,
Wow,
so-
what a great tie-in.
Yeah, so my goal
Also
was,
at Edinburgh, by the way?
no, I went to a college called Regent. It was online,
Okay.
which during COVID was pretty dang perfect. So I finished and graduated with my master's in communications, specific to media management, with the goal of using my wildlife biology skills in tandem to communicate wildlife to people.
Okay, now I lectured at Edinburgh
Oh, you did? Okay.
for your honor society, the biology honor society, to bring you guest speakers.
Yeah.
So were you at my presentation?
I probably wasn't. No.
Okay, let's move on. And so,
Look at the eyes. These are the
all right,
eye
now I'm going to
stalks.
get a super close up of this.
Yeah, look at
way
those
better than
things.
what your people are getting. So anyway, so one of the things you did not ask, which by the way, since you studied how to create content,
Yeah.
what is the value of these things? Some people want to put them on their skin, and it becomes a skin treatment. It's actually a specialty. What can you tell us about that?
Snail mucus. Yeah, they
Yeah.
have whole farms where they soak the snails and pull the mucus out and make it into medication or skin treatment. I've actually had people come buy garden snails from me so they can just let them crawl around on their face, which I personally wouldn't do.
You wouldn't do it. Okay. All right.
Bad enough on my
Once we
hands.
sell them, we don't care what they do with them.
Okay. All right.
So who knows what those guys are doing with those snails?
Right?
Or any other creature.
They want to eat them when they buy them. That's up to them.
No, so we love our snails for pets, though.
There we go.
Yeah, we keep them in large terrariums at home. We feed them fruits and veggies. They need some calcium and some protein. And they're just one of the easiest pets and most interesting little pets you've ever had.
more easy to order. I think that did have
Now, are people just spontaneously learning about and buying a snail from you? Did they? Because they probably didn't expect to see one at a Reptile Expo.
Well, I've actually been told that I'm one of the only person they've ever had at the reptile show with a snail. And that's a lot because you can't cross state lines with them. So it's really hard to find. You have to find somebody in the state. So
because they could get loose in a warm environment.
right, and they could take over. Right,
Okay.
right. Like, see, garden snails are in the United States already. Grove snails are in there. These two can live in the cooler environment. These guys here come out of Texas, and these are Turkish snails. They're the Middle East, but the large, but they can become a problem if they're
Yeah, because in Florida they've got problems with these huge snails that are on the stucco and everything. What are those?
Those are giant African land snails.
Yeah.
And they were brought in. The story goes that they were brought in with a small child, and Grandma threw them out in the garden. And
Okay.
now they've invaded Florida.
Okay.
And they can eat like their weight in like plant matter every day. So that's why it's
Sure.
giant African land
So they do
snails are not
foliate
legal.
in there. Okay.
Yeah.
And Florida is just perfect for them. I
Florida's
guess.
absolutely perfect for them. But yeah, so we stick to the legal ones, These, but I did pick these up in Pennsylvania. These are Turkish snails. I've got grove snails, garden snails, and milk snails.
Okay, the number one reason people give for why they want a snail.
It's just something cool and different to look at.
They're cool and different.
Yeah.
And they're kind of calm because their movements are very fluid and low key, and they don't make any noise, and probably cleanup's not too bad.
It's not bad at all. So we build
Honestly, of all the animals here at this reptile show, they're probably the easiest thing to take care of.
Yeah. Are you here every month?
I am here
This
every
group?
month, yep.
Okay.
Yep,
And
we
what's
are-
the name of your company is? Let me just shoot your.
They're perfect. We're snail trails and
Snail.
spinzolotls, axolotls. I did not bring any axolotls with me today,
Okay.
Thank you.
yeah.
but we are here every month.
Looking to see what's around it.
All right.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
From her. Is that your snake? And did he get permission to hold it? Do you have a name for the snake?
trying to bite my face.
It's vanilla. And who's your mom that's here? Who owns all of this? Your dad? Is that him over there? He doesn't care if he holds the snake. Now that looks like a constrictor. Is it a python? A retic. So that's reticulated python. So that means it's a constrictor, right? It chokes its animals to death. Is that a sad truth for you? Okay.
I was holding a golden python.
You were holding a golden python. Okay. Is this your favorite kind of snake?
Yeah, it's like hot.
And who is this holding this bigger snake? Is that your sister?
Yeah, that's my sister.
Oh no. Orion, could we see you holding the snake instead of looking at your back? He likes snakes a lot. Quinn, hey Quinn, you don't stand straight in front of even a friendly snake. And give her back her snake. Give it back to her. She wants that snake back. Thank you for sharing your snake with us.
This is my bee guy. Oh, see, and I was going to say, hey, my friend has bees. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that.
So this is what is this?
This is a viper gecko, Hemidactylus imbricata. They hail from the mountains of Afghanistan and Iraq.
And this is great for scale because it's on a little charger plug. Mm-hmm. Is this thing full grown?
He's about half grown. This one over here is full grown.
What?
They hatch out of an egg about the size of a pea. And a new hatchling can actually fit across my thumbnail without any stress at all, including his tail.
Your mom made you come here? Are you happy to be here? What's your favorite thing about being here at the Reptile Expo?
Show him your dragon.
And you're here every month, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
I miss a couple in the summer, but
well, we finally made it. We got the grandchildren. What are you?
The laser engraver stinks.
Oh, that is cool. Now you sell these. Viper. Oh, they're expensive too.
A little bit.
How long does one of these little things live?
10 to 15 years.
And then what does something that's so tiny eat?
Anything it can catch. Mealworms, crickets, pretty much capped off at anything 1/4 inch and smaller. So 1/4 inch crickets, 1/4 inch dubia roaches. I raise Turkish runner roaches.
Are these things fast? Are they nocturnal normally?
They're technically listed as crepuscular, so morning and night, but they're active all the time. They're out hunting in the daytime. I've gone in with a red light at night because that's who I am, and checked on them, and they're hunting at night. So yeah, I've even had breeding activity morning at night.
Are these, now you've got this habitat here.
None.
What are they normally kept in?
So the viper geckos are kept in a bigger version of this. The neon days are kept in.
Neon days. Those look like they could be fast moving.
They are fast.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to open.
We're not opening that stuff. And at $200, we don't want that thing running away.
They can climb walls, but they're showing off his color a little better.
Oh my gosh, that is beautiful.
Once they get acclimated, the blue is almost as blue as this tablecloth. And the head is almost a safety green, a safety yellow kind of color.
Wow. That is scary. Okay, so in the wild, they're venomous or poisonous?
They are poisonous.
Okay. And these are poison arrow frogs?
Yep, poisoned arrow frogs.
And if you raise them yourself, they're not?
Yep.
Then you raise these?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, these are some of my froglets.
That's good. Alrighty.
You gonna jump out at me? Crazy face?
So you've got by far the biggest snakes on exhibit here.
Right.
And I'm guessing these are your children.
Correct.
Okay, now, having big snakes around little kids, is that an issue at all? Or you have to teach your kids what to be careful of? And
So responsibility is scarce. They're not allowed even getting these small snakes that are this big out by themselves unless I'm around.
okay.
So it's very, very monitored. And they've been around snakes for years and years.
Okay. They've been around snakes for years and years. Now, what's your background? What got you into big herps?
So when I was a child, my mom let me get little lizards, anlos, and tortoises. So I didn't get into snakes until I was probably 18, 19 years old because my mom wouldn't let me have any of them. So it started off with ball pythons and slowly grew into
Larger constrictors. And I'm just going to create a little... Now, this is a retic.
Yes, this is a retic.
I'm looking at the patterns. I was about to say Burmese python. So you are handling a big reticulated python. And this is not what we would find in the wild. These colors are unique, right?
Yep. They have been bred to create this color pattern. She is a purple, which is a variation of an albino with just the dark purple highlights in her. That's not good.
Wow. So give me an idea. This tote must weigh how much?
With her in it?
Yeah.
She weighs close to 200 pounds.
200 pounds. So is that your source of fitness activity, just picking up your big snakes?
It has been recently. The joke is I'm on an arm wrestling team.
Oh, you are?
The only thing I do for training now is just handle big snakes.
Yeah, you have to be. I think that's important for people to know. You've got a snake that even if it were sleeping and non-responsive, you probably couldn't lift it unless you're fairly physical.
And if they do not want you to lift it, you're not going to lift it.
I never would have guessed that a reticulated python would be docile.
Yeah, she is very calm. Especially, she's 11 years old. She's about 20 feet long.
20 feet? That's up there. What is the longest snake in captivity right now?
I think between 24 and 25 feet is the rep.
That's big, okay.
Yeah.
And a reticulated python is an old world snake, so it's an African snake, right?
Indonesia.
Indonesia. Okay. And are you breeding these?
So we just started. This will be our first season breeding. I'm not certain if we will breed her because she is 11 years old.
11 years old.
Some of our younger retents, we definitely will be.
And what is their life expectancy?
They can live up to 30 years.
30 years, okay. You always want permission before you touch anybody's... Okay.
You have aggression? Yep.
Yeah, but they not like in language.
So now what's your background? What, have you studied herpetology? What did you do?
Nope, so everything's been self-taught.
Self-taught, okay.
Thanks to YouTube and reptile forums. Yeah, so it's, I've never really studied under anybody, and just kind of a lot of trial and error. And everybody does things so much differently as far as...
Okay, you've got this big snake. What do you wish you'd done different, if anything? Were you prepared for large reptiles like this?
Yep. So we have a very large area, a big finished basement. There's no way they can get out of the basement. Even if they could get out of their enclosures, they're not going to get out of the area of the basement.
Okay.
She is housed in a 8-foot by 4-foot by 2-foot enclosure, which doesn't seem like much, but she's not a very active snake.
Okay.
She is out of her enclosure every single day for enrichment, giving her chances to stretch around. Basically, roam around the basement area.
And so feeding, I'm just thinking of what zoological parks pay to feed something. I think it was like $350 a year to feed a retic. a long time ago. Are you raising their food or?
So I buy frozen.
Okay.
And right now she's eating a 10 to 12 pound rabbit once a month.
10 to 12 pound rabbit once a month.
I'm not trying to get her any bigger than what she is.
Right.
I think if they get a little too husky, then it's going to lower their life expectancy. And
that would exceed probably what they would get in the wild because they're being cared for and you are giving them regular feed that they don't have to hunt for. What natural predators do they have?
As young?
Or even as an adult, is there anything? Are they at the top of their food chain?
They are considered an apex predator.
Predator.
Yeah, so they would be about at the top of the food chain. She's a little, like I said, a little thicker, but they are arboreal.
We can't.
So they like to be in trees. They will eat monkeys. They will eat bats.
They eat monkeys?
Yes.
Snakes. I think.
And now they're ambush predators, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, how long does a big animal like that, if they ate something, how long does it take for them to metabolize that? And
anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks.
2 and 4 weeks.
Based off of the size of the hunting. In the UK, they only feed the big snakes like once every 3 months. They will feed it to just on.
Well, that's great. And I know that one's stealing the limelight. You've got some smaller retics over here. Are they related?
They're not related. Now she wants to come out and play with them.
Okay.
For instance, females are much larger than males. This is a male here. This is a labia, which is almost exactly like me purple. But he is 7 years old, but obviously much, much smaller. He's still probably a 12-foot snake. But you can tell his head is white, where her head is completely yellow.
Wow. And usually, when their coloration's normal, didn't the stripe continue through the eye, or is that just boas that do that?
That's generally boa constrictors.
That's boas, okay. Now, why do you like this color instead of the wild, original, kind of natural?
I honestly like them all, but a lot of the snakes that I have purchased are people on Craigslist, I'm going to get in this thing. They didn't realize this thing was going to get so big.
Sure.
Like this snake, probably an $800 to $1,000 snake. I bought it in an adult Burmese python for $125.
Okay. So once people decide they need to get rid of it, the price goes way down. This is why we have the problem we have in Florida. They get too big, they just turn them loose. Here they won't survive, but down there.
Yeah, so people absolutely should do their research to getting at them.
Now, where are you located? Are you right out of?
Spartansburg.
Spartansburg. And you come up here every month?
I've been here a couple of times. This is our first time actually bringing animals to the show.
Has it been worth the trip? Are people shopping?
And I'm not looking to sell them. I just want to... I think a lot of people have an irrational fear of snakes.
Okay.
And I always ask the question, have you held a snake? And most of them have never even held a snake.
Right.
So it's a fear that somebody kind of put into their head. And then I let them see a 20-foot snake that I can grab by the head and it's not trying to bite me or wrap around me. And they're like, oh, maybe these things aren't as bad as I thought they were.
Yeah. Now, what about people that have pets at home? Small dogs, cats, things like that. They have to be aware, right?
Correct. So I've got a French bulldog, and people always make the joke, that thing's going to eat your dog. I don't let them around each other. I know that there are risks to things like that, and accidents have absolutely happened.
Yeah.
But that's definitely not the snake's fault.
Right. They're just instinctive, sure.
Correct, yeah.
And you could smell like your dog. If you've been petting your dog and you go to pick up the snake, now you smell like something else.
Yep, and you can get bit if you handling rats or rabbits, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to reach in and grab my sweet.
Yeah. Okay.
How they sense prey is by scent and symmetry. So if they smell it on you and they have the heat of your hand in their face, they're probably going to strike.
Now that's not a tick on its scale set?
It's like a skin tag.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
and and it's pretty uncommon.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's the only snake I never had that's had one.
Okay.
Got one. And the people that I got him from, he had it when we had purchased him.
The cabin, I completely did not have to order the infections. What is he going to do?
How old is it?
He just said.
So we're officers with the Erie Aquarium Society.
Erie Aquarium Society?
Yes.
Wait a second. I didn't even know. Would you mind introducing yourself and just...
My name's Jerry Foster. It's my wife, Jamie.
Hi.
Hi.
We're both board members with the Erie Aquarium Society.
The Erie Aquarium Society?
Yes.
Where do you meet? How often do you meet? Or...
We meet at Westridge. I always miss up Westridge or Westlake. Westridge Fire Department on West 26th Street.
Okay.
Second Friday of the month.
Yeah, so I believe our meeting was actually last night, but we both had to work.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Had to work.
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like you need money to exist.
we need money. We need money to
You need money.
to support this hobby.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I want to talk about that a little bit because this is a great tie-in. Do you have a position on the board of that group? Or?
I'm on the committee for BAP and HAP.
Okay, I don't even know what you just said.
Readers Award Program and
Horticulture Award Program.
Okay.
So breeding fish and reproducing plants.
Does that club have a Facebook page? And
Yes, we do.
Okay. And let's say the name of that really clear. So
Erie Aquarium Society.
Erie Aquarium Society on Facebook, and you'll talk about your meetings and how to join and stuff. What's your membership like right now?
I want to say it's about I want to say it's right around
30 or so?
No, I want to say it's right around 50.
Okay.
50.
Active members, it's around 30.
Yeah.
But we've been, the Erie Aquarium Society has been around for over 50 years.
Okay.
I believe it's...
78?
I believe it started in 74.
Unfortunately, we're not Rush Lasher.
No. I was going to say, one of our members, Russ Lasher, has been with it since the start, and he knows more about fish than most people won't.
Okay. So now, are any of the big aquarium stores like part of your, like Buys and Bees and stuff?
Buys and Bees does a lot with the Aquarium Society. I'm one of the social media. How do you reconcile? Yeah, I'm one of the people that does social media. I'm on the board also.
To let people know like what's coming up and what we're talking
We have
about.
an auction coming up, October 26th.
Oh, that's good to know.
Out at Erie Highway Hose Company.
What's going to be in the auction?
Oh gosh, all kinds of stuff.
Are we talking everything from aquariums to...
Yep, we have
equipment, fish, plants.
Yep.
No
We've
kidding.
gotten a tiny bit of saltwater showing up. Not a lot yet, but there's been a few people brought stuff.
Okay.
I saw anemones at the last one.
I'm glad we're talking because I did not know that Erie has... It makes sense that we would have this club, but that membership needs to grow.
It's open and free to the public.
Okay.
Anybody can come and participate in the auction.
You can, if you want to show up to a meeting, there is no charge to show up to the meeting.
Yeah.
You just ask, like, by the second one,
Okay.
consider becoming a member.
Okay. What's membership cost?
Membership is, I believe, $12 for a family, and for
a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very reasonable.
I want to say it's like $10 for a single, something like that.
So what are the benefits of membership? Get to be with cool people. Is there a T-shirt?
We also semi-regularly have people come in to give talks about the hobby.
Okay.
I've given talks on how I raise plants at home. Raise my fish. I have fish ponds that I've made.
We've had several people from Germany.
Yeah,
all over the place come in and talk about.
Who knew?
different aspects of fishing.
And tell me again about where you're meeting. What's the venue?
We meet at West Ridge Fire Department.
West Ridge Fire Department. So they have like a fellowship hall or a...
Yeah, they have a social hall.
Okay.
We meet there the second Friday of the month. We also do a banquet once a year, that kind of thing.
Okay. And what time is the meeting?
The meeting starts at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. And they run about 2 hours or something?
Approximately.
Okay.
Sometimes it usually runs about an hour and a half, sometimes a little longer if they have a speaker.
Or people just get bull crap a month.
And your specific area of interest is the plants.
I do fish.
We do fish.
Fish and plants.
I didn't bring any fish with me.
Plants are easier to tote around.
They're easier to catch, too.
Oh, let me ask you a question off the cuff. Okay. So if I set up some kind of habitat just for plants without fish, am I going to generate a bunch of oxygen in a room that's oxygen depleted? We can help with humidity, right?
I don't know if I would call it a lot, but you're going to create some.
How does it compare to houseplants? What a houseplant contributes and what plants like this?
Houseplant is probably going to do more because the CO2 concentration in atmosphere is like 10 or 15 times what it is in water.
Okay.
And CO2 ingestion is what is the whole burden.
Because some people even introduce CO2 into because fish would be doing that, but if you didn't have fish, do you have these CO2 systems just trickle CO2 into the water or anything? No, but there are people.
I don't need that level of complexity, and I don't do plants that need it.
Right. Okay.
All the plants on this table are in what will be referred to as a low-tech setup.
A low-tech setup. I like it. So lighting-wise, even aquarium plants have like shaded areas, just like gardeners would talk about, full sun, full shade. So in an aquarium setup, because now we have to artificially light it, usually, are there plants that don't require artificial lighting?
Just looking at some, these guys here, you could actually get away with not lighting your tank and just have the ambient light though.
Okay.
Actually, it's fine with a low light situation.
Okay. Now, if you have a plant that's a low light plant, but then you light it for too long or too bright.
Yep. Oh, it is. Yes, nothing like pretty.
What happens to the plant?
This one here, specifically, so Hygrophila angustifolia is the actual full name of this. This one, when it gets out in the sun, the leaves will turn to red to almost purple.
Oh, in the sun, red to purple, but under normal lighting. And how do we know when it has insufficient lighting? It starts to turn brown?
It'll start yellowing out.
Okay.
The fun thing about
guppy grass.
You see the thing?
Some of the fastest grow. That looks like it would grow fast. Is that right? We're talking an inch a day or something. Potentially.
I think it's even more than that. But that's over a whole tank. I have a 30-gallon tank that I will almost strip bare for it to come to one of these.
Yeah.
By the next show, it'll be full.
This once a month. So.
Now, what kind of what could you have that would eat those?
I believe people have done turtles with these.
Turtles.
It's a relatively soft plant.
Okay.
It's very easy to break apart.
Sure. What do you do with it if you can't sell it? What do you? I mean, obviously, we're undercutting it by saying that there's so much we have to get rid of, but it's $5 to get started, and you're probably certifying that it's free of any tiny snails or eggs.
I don't make any.
You don't make any claims. Okay.
I have snails in all my tanks.
Yeah.
I have no.
So you have that. Now, what if somebody? Let's do that. Somebody just went to an exhibit like this today. They bought some aquatic plants. What can they do to guarantee or help not transmit something into a tank that doesn't have planaria worms and things like that?
Planaria and such. If I find that, I'm not selling out of that tank. That's what I do.
Yeah, that's a nightmare.
I have a tank right now that it's now empty. I've got to pull that off because it does have planaria.
Yeah.
So when I find it, no, that tank is shut off. Nothing's coming out of it.
Okay, so that's it. Everything's written off. It's in the tank. So that's scorched earth.
It'll sit there. I will try to treat it, but
why can't we get that under control? What's going on?
Part of it is overfeeding.
Okay. Because you're providing excess resources that then they will reproduce in. Okay.
It's most common for me in tanks where I have juvenile fish I'm trying to feed them.
Okay.
It gets bigger.
Okay.
So there's excess food laying about. Usually it's snails, but sometimes planaric.
Okay.
And I haven't figured out how they get there exactly.
Yeah.
I imagine there's people smarter than me who know how that happens.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I guess we're going to wrap this up. I want to thank you for your time and thank you for sharing about the aquariums.
Erie Aquarium.
Erie Aquarium site.